Welcome to another episode of Axiom TV, the only channel not only on YouTube. I believe I'm the only broadcast in the world that is actually pursuing actual truth. It is my belief after 40 years on the planet that the world is stupid. It is silly. It is trivial. And so I decided to challenge it. And that's why I make these videos. I'm not making them to make anyone upset, but I'm no longer going to play along with the myths of society that we all find comfort in order to escape the reality that our society is stupid. And not just free society, but every level of human society is stupid. From what I can tell, all institutions are fraudulent. And in this video, I'm going to challenge and broach the question of, does dating outside of your race mean that you are not racist? And I want to dedicate this episode to the mixed children all over the world. Today I'm going to specify black and white. This is for all those who are adopted, all those who are mixed with any races, because we're all human beings. And to me, I believe the mixed kids are the most ignored group in human society. And I believe I know why. Yeah, let's begin. First, does dating outside of your race mean that you are not a racist? The simple answer is no. It does not mean that. Let's examine and go in depth on why people date outside of their race. Now, I've already told you that racial purity is essentially racial purity, only dating people within your race, is essentially continuing recessive genes. Well, listen, how could you say something like that? How can you prove that? I can easily prove that. There's a group in Utah, the Mormons. They believe in only dating inside their race. Do you see what those people look like? Do you see what those people sound like when they speak? Another group I'll point to, the Amish. Do you see what these people look like or sound like when they speak? There is something at least partly special needs about them. Yet they go on as if they're normal. So that is why I know for sure that racial purity is the transfer and sharing of recessive genes, which is only continuing to degenerate genetically within that race. And to me, that's the reason why mixed kids are so hated, because they're the most genetically advanced group within our whole society. Way Europeans did, I think I stated this earlier in another video, Europeans did blacks a favor by raping slaves, because by doing so they inadvertently advanced blacks genetically, or melanated people, aboriginal people, earth tone people, whatever we're going by these days. You know what I mean? But I'm going to say black in this video, or earth toned. You know what I mean? Because that's my color. Anyway, color aside, or no, I guess we're all into color in this one. Though it's intended to happen, which means black is to attract to white, white is to attract to black. In today's society, modern day society, 2017, mixed couples, interracial dating, as it is called, interracial dating. I love that. I love that name. You know what I mean? It makes it sound so scientific or something. Sounds like it's not right or something. Sounds like it shouldn't be happening. But in actual fact, that is exactly what should be happening. Don't forget, two magnets of the same kind repel each other. Try to put two magnets of the same type towards each other, a positive to a positive. It will not attract, they will repel each other. But if you put a positive and a negative, and don't look at it as negative, that's only a name that we assign it. But basically two opposite extreme magnets next to each other, they automatically attract. They just come together and attract. That is the reason why black is intended to reproduce with white, and white is intended to reproduce with black. That is just a natural thing, as I just showed you with the example of the magnets, and as I showed you with the Amish, as I showed you with the Mormons. And if we want to look at a purely black group in Africa that has not been genetically advanced through having sex with people outside of that race, then you will see recessive genes being shared there as well as traits, and they will exhibit characteristics of retardation or recessive genes. Now, though it is a natural phenomenon for us to date other races to reproduce, forget just dating, because remember, the whole point to sex is reproduction. We've established that. The whole point to sex for every species on Earth is reproduction. It is not for your pleasure. It is not for your sick, twisted, deviant thoughts in your mind, your deviant thoughts in your mind. It is for reproduction. But on both sides, due to a lot of mental programming, conditioning, and false information, propaganda, you have both sides, both blacks and whites, who are attracted to each other, but more so it seems for exoticness. They don't even realize why they're attracted to each other. It seems like they treat each other more like exotic pets. Like a white girl will be dating a black guy and treat him like an exotic pet that she owns. And the same thing for a black guy with a white girl. They will treat him like an exotic pet that they own. And in our society today, it seems that interracial dating happens more primarily as a form of rebellion. On one hand, you have black men dating white women, and they're told not to do so because white people are devils, or you shouldn't date outside your race. And that's not just coming from the black side, that's also coming from the white side. If an interracial couple walks throughout America today in the mall, they're likely going to be stared at by someone as if they're the weird one. But don't forget, that person who's staring at you, they are the product of recessive genes. So you shouldn't value their opinion in any way whatsoever, because they are essentially part special needs and are not even of the realization of it. Meaning that in a way that they are mentally defective through retardation and not even realize it. It's like a cartoon being a cartoon character in a cartoon. Do they know? When do they get to realize that they are a cartoon? When do they realize that they're a cartoon? So that's how we'll go on that one. Now let's explore why black men date white women. Because remember, I don't like to deal with the symptoms. I like to go to the fundamental common denominator, the fundamental reason. And that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to explore today. Black men, I wrote some notes, so excuse me if I'm reading on this one, because this topic I wanted to make sure I got right. Because I have a mixed daughter now, and I know a lot of kids out there, and to me they're just confused, and I refuse to have my daughter grow up like that. So since no one else in society will address it, not even our mixed president that was, I guess it's up to me, because I don't hear the churches doing it. All right. Why black men date white women? Back in the day, in times past, it was a lethal crime. It was a fatal crime to date a white woman for a black man. Such famous men as Malcolm X, as militant as black militant as he was when he was going by that name, when he was just Malcolm Little before he went to prison and converted to the Nation of Islam, the religion of the Nation of Islam, he was dating white women. Previous to him, you have slaves that were having sex with white women, and if white women got pregnant to those slaves, they had to do an underground abortion. That's when abortion was like underground. There weren't abortion clinics back in the day. Or they had a baby, but because it wasn't an accepted thing back then, they had to abandon the baby, because that white woman would be ostracized from a society, from white society, or possibly killed, or the victim of violence, or even the baby was in danger of being killed because it was mixed. Remember, we're dealing with recessive genetic minds at this time. Now, what we should be thinking of is, to prove my point on why white naturally attracts to black and black naturally attracts to white, what we should be wondering is, well, how did black men or slaves back in the day have sex with white women? How is that possible? All right, well, let me tell you. Because white women, regardless of the position of a slave working out in the field, they weren't valuing who they were attracted to based on how much that person made, based on financial reasons. That's something that's been put in our heads, that, oh, women value men based on financial protection. No, that's what capitalism teaches you. Because a woman will have a rich husband, but while the husband's away, here comes the mailman, or some maybe gardener or the pool boy of another race, or just someone that she felt more attracted to. Because when a man has money, he tends to think, it tends to warp his reality. It removes him from actual reality, and he tends to think that he's bigger than what he is. He tends to think that he's above everything, and he doesn't have to love the woman or treat her with any respect or sensuality or affection as he would have done if he was broke, or if he was poor or low income. But obviously back in the day, it wasn't just white men raping black women. They actually chose to have sex with slave women which were black. Case in point, Thomas Jefferson. He had this beautiful mixed, this aesthetically pleasing to the eye, mixed slave girl that he was dating, that was kept under wraps for hundreds of years. It's now that the clear picture of Thomas Jefferson's affection for black women came forth. You know what I mean? And even George Washington, they love to tell you how George Washington had slaves, but do you believe that George Washington wasn't having sex with the slave women? Are we to believe that? Are we to believe any slave owner wasn't having sex with slave women? Now, they'll tell you that it was due to the Willie Lynch laws why they were doing this, which is to break up and control black families or slave families at the time. But no, it was out of their own choice that they did so, meaning that they were obviously attracted to slave girls, which is why they had sex with them, and which is why you have so many light-skinned blacks within the country at this time. Now, going back to why black men date white women in today's society. Remember, we are in a society where people are not looking to relate. Due to us choosing to engage in this, participate in a system of mutual exploitation, you have not relationships, but couples come together for mutually exploit each other. Whether it's one person in that relationship or whether it's both of them, neither party are likely looking to relate because they have been raised to exploit. So they are basically looking to exploit each other in relationships, which is why you have so many bad relationships in society today. It's good for the economy. Steady relationships do not sell products. Broken relationships do. The more marriages you have, the more significant others you have that are, whether it's married or not, the more you're breaking up and coming together, the more money you spend. That's a fact. If you are with one person throughout life, or if you're in a steady relationship long term, that there's no cheating or going outside of that relationship where none of that is involved, you will notice that less money is spent. It is they're more financially stable. They save more. They think more rationally. And in capitalism, what we want you to do is be rational consumers. We do not want you, that's the priority, not your well-being or the stability of your relationship. That is not the priority of capitalism. Capitalism is not even patriotic. That's the reason why we're selling out. That's the reason why all the jobs went overseas. That's how much patriotism is in capitalism. Remember, I told you capitalism is cannibalizing. Anyway, from the very start of capitalism, it's been self-cannibalizing. Even before it was started, and worked out how the system was going to work, they knew that it was going to be self-cannibalizing, that it was a zero-sum game. But we'll get into that in another video. Now, within the black community, blacks will ostracize, say, black men who date white women. They are criticized and ostracized within the black community for dating outside of their race. You'll see this in I think Kanye West made reference to it in Gold Digger. He leave your ass for a white girl. Now I ain't saying she a gold digger. You know what I mean? Or you'll see a big deal being made whenever a black athlete or a famous black celebrity marries a white woman or a light-skinned woman or a woman from another race. It could be Asian, etc. But I'm going to stop saying etc. It reminds me of this movie, what was that? I'm just going to stop saying etc. or stop saying it so much. Black men are criticized for dating white women or dating outside of their race, or even more, black celebrities are, black men are criticized for this. Really, it's really a silly argument. It's a trivial argument. It's absolutely asinine, really. And let me tell you why. In the group of African Americans, what we call African Americans in America, there's barely any person that can possibly think in reality that they are 100% black, that they are 100% genetically African, of African descent, due to, as I told you, slaves being raped by slave masters, or white women having sex with the slave men. There are basically every African American has some white in them. There's no avoiding that. That's just fact. So to say, oh, don't date outside, don't marry a white girl or marry a light-skinned girl, or to don't have sex with white men or someone outside your race if you're black. This is a silly argument, because especially for African Americans, because you're already genetically conflated with Europeans. I don't care how dark that black person, that African American appears in appearance, they are mixed with some kind of European genetics, because let's not forget, mixed kids come out in all, covering the whole spectrum. There are super dark mixed kids, and there are super light mixed kids. My friend Ashton can tell you this. You know what I mean? It exists right within his own family. Look at Barack Obama, and then you can see someone like Tiger Woods, who looks Indian. Or you know what? Yeah, he's part Asian. But let's stick to just white and black in this discussion. Look at Quincy Jones' daughter, Rashida Jones. Look at the rapper Logic. I don't know if you're familiar with him. I think he's a decent rapper. I like his lyrics. In fact, he has a couple of songs on his latest album where he addresses being mixed, having white and black fans constantly come at him for being mixed. So he doesn't know how to go about making his albums, because he's damn, he makes a song about addressing a white issue, and he's damned if he addresses a song or creates a song addressing black issues. So he's confused, but he's light. He looks white. The same thing with Wentworth Miller from Prison Break fame. This guy looks white. I wouldn't even have thought he was black until one day I saw him in an interview saying that he was part black. You know what I mean? Like directly, and then not second generation or anything. So as you can see by just those examples, mixed kids come in all varieties. So the argument of the black community about dating outside of your race is absolutely stupid. It's absolutely trivial. It's not intelligent, because you are already mixed with European blood in your genetics. This is fact. The next thing, where is it? Date white women because of a perception or stereotype. Okay, now another reason why black men date white women is because of a perception of a stereotype, which is mostly promoted by pornography. Black men believe that white women are more sexually uninhibited than black women. Freakier, if you will, because as I stated in the Let's Talk About Sex video, white women are portrayed in those videos as in sexually compromising positions, that in the black community, black women are taught not to find themselves, because then you're looked at as a whore or a loose woman or a freak, a super freak, freak sexually. And when you're being that when men feel oppressed, when men feel stressed, remember we're wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. To a way of rebuilding or coping is through the act of sex. So this actually is very logical. Being that black men are the most mentally abused men in society, they turn to, they seek out ways to act out that frustration by seeking sex. And if you're going to seek sex to handle your frustration, remember, nature is always telling us to seek the best way to perform an act. So it actually makes sense that they choose to go after, or excuse me, pursue white women to fulfill that alleviating of that stress. Hold on real quick, my friend Eugene is saying something, I think. Where's that? Oh, okay, it's another video. All right, he's commenting on another video. All right, back to this one. Now, let's go, and that's why black men date women on superficially, or through perception, or why we believe we date white women. So in another way, men are dating white women as a way to say, oh, I'll show these white guys who want to constantly make me feel like I'm lesser than them. I'll show them by dating their women and having sex with their women. And that's the reason why in the black community you'll hear a white woman say that black men treat white women like they're their prize. They'll say that a white woman is a black man's prize. And in a way, I guess that is kind of true on many levels, but it's, once again, it is not because of what we perceive. It is because nature intended it that way. Opposites are intended to attract, as proven by the magnet. Now, let's go into why white women date black men through their perception. For some white women, not all, dating black men is a form for them to rebel. So you have black men dating white women as a form of rebellion, and you have white women who also date black men as what they perceive as a form of rebellion. Remember, all life they come up from an early age hearing from their fathers and their uncles and from the white community at large that you shouldn't date black men because, and these are the most, this is what, it's almost like they're driving white women towards black men, because they'll tell white women that black men have larger penises, black men perform better in bed, black men are better athletically, black men have voracious sexual appetites. Like, hello, if you're trying to prevent someone from dating another person, do you give them that many compliments? You know what I mean? So, and then at the same time, they'll tell them that blacks are animals, blacks are scary, blacks are violent, blacks are criminals. But it's too late. You've already told that female in a sexually charged world that these guys have bigger penises. So, and they have voracious sexual appetites. So, as well as the fact that black men do not base beauty on women being heroin skinny. For some reason, white men are taught, I don't think this is natural, that they view women like this naturally. The white men are taught They are sold an image very early on of what they should value as beauty. They are taught that women should be 115 pounds no matter what their height is. If they're the smaller they are, the less they should weigh. Like if a girl is like 5 foot, in the white community, white males want that woman to be 100 pounds or a little less. That's wild to me. That's like skin and bones. Like that's the reason why you have so many girls in the white community on pills and on heroin, using it as a way to diet. I've dated a few white women who their only claim to fame was, at least I'm skinny. At least I'm skinny. But they had the ugliest attitudes. I'm like, do you think that's going to get you far? Is that because you're skinny? Being skinny doesn't make you beautiful. But that's what they've been taught. That's how they've come up. That's how they've been conditioned, brainwashed by that propaganda. So they act as if and just believe it without questioning. These women who date black men, if you notice, and I've noticed this for myself, it's as if any black man will do. Like, you'll notice in the black community, black women are picky about which black men they date. They want a black man that's attractive to them in some way. While you'll see a white girl who dates an attractive black man, but once they break up, if she wants to date another black man, it seems it doesn't matter what he looks like, because you'll see that same white girl with a hideous looking black dude that only an ugly black woman would date. You know what I mean? And she would only do it as a last resort if she had no other choice. So it's like, that's what led me to believe that, oh man, women are only dating black men through their perception, based on only skin color. It doesn't matter what he looks like. You know what I mean? Let's go on that. Many require that many white women that date black men seem to require that the black man, that black man's, or the black men that they date, that they act like the stereotype they see on TV. That's the kind of black men that they hunt for. The ones that their dad or their uncles or their granddad warned them against not to date. They'll want like the ones that they think are on. They don't want Theo from the Cosby Show. They don't want the Urkel black dude. They don't want Carlton. They go for the DMX looking types, or who they think looks like DMX. They want someone who acts out like their version of a nigga. They want that aggressive, hat to the side, pants falling off, yo yo yo. They want their black men to talk a certain way, walk a certain way, conduct themselves a certain way that they have been taught that black men act like. This is like, white women know this. I don't even, you know what I mean? Like, this is, you just need to look into society to see what I'm talking about, because I know some of the things I say might sound strange to some people, but I'm a man who's of the world. I have made sure that I have like thought about these things before I put them before you. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you anything from a book from a pre-written book like this. You won't find this in the Bible. You won't find this coming out of science. So I felt compelled to have to address this issue. And my laboratory is society. I most of the stuff I know is from observation, especially this particular subject. This particular subject is through observation. Now, here's how you'll know something. With these type of women, they'll go on to get impregnated to a black man, but black men need to do their research with a woman before they seek to have sex with them, because remember, sex is based in reproduction. So there's always a chance when you engage in sex that woman, that female, will become impregnated. Now, what is the issue with, to me, the fundamental issue that's wrong with a black man impregnating a white woman? This is the fundamental issue there. The black man does not check to see if that white girl is not racist, because they assume that, oh well, she's dating me, so she can't be racist. No, that's not how you check to see if a woman is not racist. The way to see if a white woman is not racist is by listening to her or observe her when she's upset with you, when she's upset in some kind of way and takes it out on you in any kind of way. You want to see what she refers to you as. If she refers to you as a nigger when she's upset, then that is what she's going to refer to your child as. Do I need to repeat that again? If a white woman refers to you when she's upset as a nigger, first off, she doesn't care for you. You're just an exotic pet to her. And second off, if you impregnate her, that is what she will refer to your child to when she's upset with your child, with that mixed child. Come on now, can I get an amen? Can I get a hallelujah? These women look at these type of men as good enough to date. They look at a black man as good enough to date, but they can't bring that black man home to their families, or they'll be ostracized. They'll be excommunicated. Like, a lot of white families take that really seriously. And you got to remember, we're talking about racial purity here. These people are genetically defective. So you can't expect a high level of intelligence from these people. I don't care if they dress in suits. I don't care if they're millionaires. That doesn't translate to that doesn't equate to a high level of intelligence. How they relate to fundamental issues in society, the realities of life, that is what determines if they are high level thinkers or high level intellectuals or cerebrals. If anything, these people are more emotional. That's what they are. They're highly emotional, not highly intelligent. So, because who says that I love my daughter, but if she gets pregnant to a black man, she's no longer my daughter? Is that love? Or she's kicked out of the family. Did your family ever really love you? And they get disowned for having black children. That is the reason why you have a lot of black girls, a lot of white girls out here who have mixed kids. If they've been disowned, you'll see them cursing at their kids and talking to them, using language that the mother might as well be wearing a hood with a cross on it. She might as well be a Klanswoman. If you hear her talk, to how she talks to her children, or if you see how she treats her children, because it's as if she's upset at the child that her family disowned her for having that child. So she'll take it out on the child or her children, her mixed children. Also, for you black men who don't want to pay attention to the women that you're having sex with, to the white women that you're having sex with. Be leery of a white woman that says that she exclusively dates black men, yet only has white children. 2 and 2 does not add up there. If you meet a white girl that says, if you're a black man and you meet a white girl or a white female that says that she only dates black men, yet she only has white children, that is not the woman to be with, because there is she either fears her family too much, she's too controlled by her family too much, which means that she might not want to be racist, but she will choose to be racist just to win the approval and keep the approval of her family. So you'll have these white women that'll have white kids to white men, but secretly date black men as like a side thing, as like a guilty pleasure, if you will. That's what it is. They'll treat the black man that they date as like guilty pleasure, something to be hidden in the closet, done in the dark, late night jump off, if you will. Okay, moving on from that topic. Now, and this is such a disservice to these children. Remember this. This is such a disservice to the mixed children that are coming out of these relationships. Like, this is the reason why so many mixed kids are so confused in society and have such low self-esteem, because of the way they were raised. Now, the other women who are the women that are not disowned by their family, and the reason why I'm spending a lot of time on white women having black children is because when black families don't really disown their kids for dating outside of the race. They'll criticize you. You're ostracized in a way, but you're not disowned. Like, you may get made fun of, but you're not outward. They don't take it to the level that white people do when a daughter comes home and with a black child. White people take it to a whole nother level that it just doesn't make any sense. But then I remember, recessive genes, Jason. They're sharing a bunch of recessive genes. Don't forget the Amish and the Mormons and whoever else. Some white women have mixed babies, and they make sure the ones that aren't disowned by families, the ones that are still allowed to come around their white families, are constantly making that mixed child feel awkward. Like, if you think it's awkward being a black person in America, you know what I mean? If you think it's awkward to say the land of the free and sing the national anthem as a black American, you know what I mean? We need to empathize with the mixed kids, because the mixed kids, I don't think no one lives a more awkward life in America than mixed kids. They live the most awkward life in America. Let me tell you why. You'll have the white mother take their mixed children around their racist parents, around white mother's racist parents, or racist siblings, racist extended family, during Christmas, during Thanksgiving, during holidays. And do you think that those families respect the fact that they have mixed children around? Let me put my racism on pause, racism timeout, while the kids are there, or while I'm around these mixed kids? No, they'll say that they love these mixed grandchildren or mixed nieces and nephews or what have you. But then the whole time you'll hear them just spewing in front of the mixed kids all kind of racist stuff. Nigger word, nigger word, nigger word. Nigger, 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 nigger. Nigger, 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 nigger. I hate niggers. I hate this. Everything's, oh, I just finished doing nigger work. That just got nigger raped. I was working like a nigger. Anything that they can come up with, because they got there's like a million jokes that they'll say in front of these kids. There's a million hateful things that white people have just been conditioned to say in response to any kind of stress that they come up with. They need to blame it on the something black. Remember, I told you, white people refer to their time in the medieval times as Dark Ages. There's the Black Plague, which white people are responsible for doing, but they'll call it the Black Plague. There's Black Death. You know what I mean? Like, these are white people concepts for things that happened to them that had nothing to do with black people, yet they will always name it and preface it with something toward dark or black, as if black is a bad thing. So you can tell there is a deliberate construct set up to hate, to where they're deliberately trying to assign a negative aspect, a negative connotation to black people. Now, when you have these children listening to this, but then they're hearing the parents or these adults say, but we're not racist, we're not prejudiced, but everything that comes out of their mouth is nigger this, nigger, 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 hate niggers, kill niggers, it's all the niggers' fault. You know what I mean? When these poor children are hearing this over and over, they come up and they are completely confused. That's why you have white women, mixed girls dating these racist white dudes and taking more of that same abuse, because they're so used to hearing it as a child coming up from among their own family, among their own white side of the racist family, that by the time they get on this racist white guy that they've now married or has chosen as a boyfriend, they're so used to abuse, that kind of mental abuse, that they just go along with it. They become like pets. They're like the Walking Dead. I see it, and it breaks my heart. I feel for these people because they're just like mentally dead. They've had their esteem and dignity beaten out of them. And it doesn't have to be by physical abuse. Mental abuse is what it all comes down to. Physical abuse is basically mental abuse, because how do you feel? It's through nerve. How does your nervous system work? That's through your whole mind. That's attached and coupled to your mind. So never look at physical abuse as non-mental abuse, because physical abuse is essentially and fundamentally mental abuse. All abuse is fundamentally mental abuse. So we'll just say, for the sake of being specific, for the sake of specificity, it took me a long time to get that one right, but I love that word. Specificity, for the sake of specificity, that whether it be physical abuse or mental abuse or verbal abuse, have these mixed girls end up with these racist white significant others, and just take that kind of mental abuse from them. Now, in terms of let's see where we're at. Here's another thing that will tell you about white women who have mixed babies. They don't want their mixed children to hang around people they feel are fully black. Now, you heard me right. It doesn't matter if their child is dark. It doesn't matter if their mixed child is dark. They do not want their child to hang around people they assume are fully black. It's the strangest thing ever. It makes no sense. You know what I mean? But this is what they do. So they're like, encourage those mixed kids that basically tell them no matter how weird the white kids, your white friends look at you, or whatever weird they say to you, it is better to hang around them than it is for you to hang around someone who looks more like you. If that is that not fact? Like I'm telling you what I see in the world. I'm not like pulling this out of my butt. You know what I mean? Like these are notes mental notes that I've taken in my mind. And going on. So we end up with a society of confused and mentally beaten down mixed children with all kinds of inferiority complexes. Mixed kids end up adopting the culture of who they appear to look like. So if a mixed kid is really dark, they'll feel like, all right, well, maybe I should act like black people, quote unquote. Maybe I should act like the stereotype that I see on TV. Maybe I'll start saying the word nigga. You know what I mean? Like up until rap music, mixed kids who are raised by their white side of their family are taught the word nigger. It is not until they come up on the dark side of their family or the black side of their family, or see on TV through rap music and other shows, they learn the word nigga and see that it's cool. Ever since the 90s, I don't know what it is. All of a sudden it's cool to be black or to act black. That's how you get all these people on TV saying words like bling bling. You have white people who you would never think would say any kind of slang. You have them saying bling bling. Oh, that person's thirsty. Or they're all kind of slang they'll pick up from the black community and start saying it. And it ends up making, when you hear a mixed person say the word nigga, it's almost like they're still in practice. You can tell that they weren't raised around black people saying that. You know what I mean? They sound like one of those, like a Carlton. They sound like Carlton trying to say the word nigga. You know what I mean? Like you could tell that they haven't like been around it long or haven't been around it all their life. But as I stated in another video, the word nigger or nigga is just a self-defeating word. It's no point in learning that. But we're dealing with people here who, like I said, have inferiority complexes because that's what they were taught ever since childhood. What else is it? So you'll have light-skinned mixed kids like Logic or Wentworth Miller. And to these two's credit, I'm just using these two as an example. These two come out, they're proud of who they are. These two do not run from the fact that they're mixed. So salute to Wentworth Miller and Logic, the rapper, for taking a stand. You are best of both worlds. And in fact, it is my belief that it is not even my belief, it's a fact that you're the more advanced genetically, which is why you get hate from both sides. I'll repeat that again. Mixed kids are the most advanced genetically in society, and that is the reason why they get hate from both sides. Okay. Now, I empathize and notice this problem because I empathize with the black kids. Remember, I'm a foreigner that moved to this country and have been here since age 9. I'm 40 now, so it's that 31 years. I've been in America for 31 years, and all my life being here, disregard how good my English is, because I always hear that, oh, Jason, you speak so well. You know what I mean? It means nothing. I have always been in a position since I moved here, and my mom told me to assimilate to American culture. I've always been in a position where I was too black for my white friends. I looked too black for my white friends, and I sounded too white for my black friends. Did I say that right? No. I sound too white for my black friends, and I'm too goofy for my black friends. I sound too white and I'm too goofy for my black friends. And I'm too dark skinned and sound too white for my white friends. They both expect me to be something, some idea that they have in their head. And me not coming from or being raised in the brainwashing and the propaganda of, oh, I need to be a stereotype. I've always said it, I don't care. I'm going to be me. You know what I mean? I already know what I look like. I was born this way. I am proud of it. And I don't need anything to validate my skin color. I don't need anything to validate who I am. Like we're taught in America about culture, black culture and white culture. What is that really? If you're already what you are, what is culture? Culture is something that someone tells you that you need to be like. No. In a free society, I don't know why I'm the only one that seems to want to take advantage of being free. But basically, culture is someone telling you that you need to act a certain way. And I am oppositional defiant. I'm oppositional defiant. No one gets to dictate to me. My parents did that for 18 years. No one dictates to me who I get to be like, man, and tell me who I need to act like. That's the reason why I say the rest of you are cowards. You know what I mean? Telling me I need to eat watermelon. I come to this country and people are telling me I need to eat watermelon. I need to drink Kool-Aid. I need to eat chicken. No. No, no, no. Make me. No. I do not need that to validate being black. In fact, I think that's what pushed me towards white women. Because I realized that black women wanted me to be a certain way. And I said, no, 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 no. I'm not going to be the way you want me to be. I'm going to be me. If you don't like me for me, leave me alone. That's fine. Same thing with the white women. You know what I mean? White women, I meet white women and they want me to be the stereotype. Like up here, I'll take this town for example. A lot of the black dudes, and I'll say the majority of them that move here, they become, even if they start off as cool, they become drug addicts. They'll start smoking crack. They'll start doing heroin. They'll start doing all kinds of wild stuff that they would never do when they lived in their black community. But in order to win the approval of the white women here, in order to live up to what the white women here want them to be, the idea that the white women have in their head of them, these black men will adapt, if you will, because that is what they're doing. They'll adapt themselves to that stereotype just so that they can please and win the affection of some white woman who's sleeping with the whole bar anyway. Like it's weird. It's weird to me. It's so strange. You know what I mean? That if you watch all my videos, you'll see exactly why I make these videos. Because the world is so stupid. You know, everyone is acting so stupid and acting like, oh no, this is normal. Like the other day, my friend who's a heroin addict tells me that I'm weird. Dude, you're a heroin addict. Are you normal? You know what I mean? Like, I'll be weird then. That's the biggest compliment you can pay me, by letting me know that I am a weirdo. Because the day that I start being normal is the day I'm going to be worried. Pause. Green tea does the body good. As you can see, we're still going green, still going nature. But yeah, nature's the color of green, and my acronym for green is green rules everything except nature. I got that from Cream. Cash rules everything around me. Cash doesn't rule everything around me, because cash doesn't rule nature, but the color green does, because that to me is the color of nature. Not that nature has a specific color. It's just, I just love that. You know what I mean? When I see spring, I think nature. You know what I mean? Green. That's what I see, lush green. But as we know, blue, red, nature has all colors. I was just admiring a cardinal the other day, like, wow, fire red. How did nature design that color? Or when you look at fishes, tropical fish. But I digress. Which is what we should look at ourselves as well. The same way there's a variety of color of birds is the same way there's a variety of color of human beings. The same way there's a variety of different type of trees is the same way there's a variety of humans. Now, people say, oh, in nature you don't see this bird having sex with that bird. We cannot conveniently use that kind of excuse. It's either we're a lower level animal, which many of us think like, or we are the cerebral being that human beings are intended to be. Which one is it? Are you going to compare yourself to horses and birds and say, oh, well, you don't see this horse having sex with this horse or that bird having sex with that bird? Or are we human? Are we the highest level of cerebral being on the planet? Or are we just going to be over emotional? Over emotional. That's what we need to name TV and everything that we do. We need to call it highly emotional. Moving on. Now let's address black women dating white men. More and more these days, I noticed that a lot of black women are beginning to date, be open about it, about dating white men, which is a good thing. I for one, am 100% up for about that. First, because black men, as I told you, do not just date within the race, and those who do, you are sharing recessive genes. Even though we have white already mixed in us in America, and I can say that in Jamaica too, because trust me, slave masters raped a lot of Jamaicans in the or just the Caribbean islands, period. But the reason why white women, I'm happy about black women dating white men now, is because black men, by dating white women or lighter skinned women, automatically give black women a inferiority complex. And no, that's not the case, because my mom is black, I've got my aunts are black, even though we all have like a great grandmother that's white. But these are strong, beautiful women. But notice I put strong first. That's where I knew that women had to be smarter than men. I only needed to find a mathematical way of proving it, and my friend Steve Bowden is the one who highlighted testosterone to me as the case, as the reason for it. But moving on. Black women, due to perception, they've been raised and conditioned in a way due to the brainwashing and propaganda of society that they are not to be attracted to white men. Oh, white men are the devil, white men are this. Listen, white men are emotionally delicate. So that tells me that they should be attracted to black women, because black women might teach them how to be mentally strong, because there's no one more mentally strong on the planet than a black woman. No one goes through more abuse. That is why. You know what I mean? No one is more mentally strong on the planet than a black woman. And the reason for this is because no one undergoes more abuse. Black women are abused by black men. Black women are abused by the white system, the white racist system. Black women just go through all kinds of abuse. More so than white women. White women get abused as well, but they seem to be more accepting of it. white women just seem to like, they don't accept it to the point that they can be compared to Asian women in being passive, because that's what Asian women are just taught, which is why a lot of white men seem to be attracted to Asian women. White women are not as passive, but they're definitely not as outspoken or in defiance as black women are. And to control black women's defiance, the white racist system gave them Christianity. That's what I noticed tamed my mom. That's what I noticed tamed all the strong women in my family. They all are waiting on a white man to come out of the sky to save them. They're all waiting on a young, dark-haired, dark-bearded Santa Claus to come out of the sky and spread Christmas cheer. You know what I mean? It's quite silly if you really think about it. But that's what's tamed the defiance of black women. Is, well, I'll just wait around till Jesus get around to it. If I keep praying, one day, for sure, Jesus gonna come and he gonna take care of all of this. And in the meantime, they raise their kids to be subjects to this system. They've been taught to go along to get along. Once again, oppositionally defiant. And that's not a disorder. I'm in order. The disorder is amongst everyone else who thinks that this is normal, that thinks that society is normal and this is the way it should be, even though we're being sacrificed like lambs, even though we're perpetuating the genetic sharing of genes. Let's not forget where this comes from. Remember the Medici family or the Rothschilds, or let's look at, I'll even be more specific with you, it's the Habsburgs, the Habsburg chin. Back in the day, there was this royal family named the Habsburgs, which is probably related to King John and his Magna Carta. I'll have to do that, save that for another video. But there is definitely a link there to me. No matter how much they try to disguise to you that, oh, the Habsburgs reached a point where they couldn't have any more children, so then they just became completely sterile and that line ended. No, back in the day, what the rich people thought that the way to keep their wealth within the family was to only have sex within their family, only reproduce in their family. And remember who sets the rules in society. So this way of thinking was implemented throughout society, where everyone was having sex and reproducing with only members of their family. That is the reason why, like, I think it's so silly of us to always look at Asians and be like, why do all the Asians look alike? No. All white people, for the most part, look alike too. All black people, for the most part, look alike too. Like, that's the reason why I don't have any problem with light-skinned black people. You know what I mean? Yes, finally, there's variation. You know what I mean? Diversity and variation is what you want. That is actually a good thing. Remember what we said keeps life from being boring. It's because there's diversity. It's because there's variation. There's variation throughout every other life form. Why are we so intelligent that we believe in only racial purity? That's against nature. That goes against your natural instincts. That goes against self-preservation. That is not self-preservation. I repeat, that is not self-preservation. It goes against preservation. We are intended to be variables. We are intended for variation, if you will. We are not supposed to be trying to create a pure race. Because that is what's asinine about that. By pursuing that, you actually have inadvertently and unwittingly created a degenerative race. White people, look at your own race. I've already said it. Playing in the mud. Think about this. Do you think Einstein spent his time playing in the mud? Do you think the world's greatest genius from your race spent their time taking their cars out and playing in the mud? No. When I watch Peppa Pig and SpongeBob, that's that kind of behavior. Which is why those things are popular. You know what I mean? Like, because we're a country of degenerative thinkers. Once again, remember, they import geniuses in this country. Very rarely does a genius rise up out of this country. They import. They have, I remember the visa, but you can look it up for me. They actually import geniuses in this country. Ask yourself, why is there a continued, constant, vibrant immigration policy in this country? Ask yourself that. Why, if the government is so satisfied with the population, why have immigration? Why, to the point that they make sure that the immigrants benefit, that they are enticing immigrants to come here? I'm sorry that I'm the one who has to burst everyone's bubble, but since no one wants to take the time to think, it just so happens I have the time. Once again, there is a natural attraction between races. Racial purity is the sharing of the recessive degenerative genes. I will be happy to debate any Klansman. That's why I say bring me Richard Spencer, someone who has some intellect. I can tell he has some intellect, but I think it's more vocabulary is all he has. Because sometimes I'm beginning to wonder, when he starts doing his calculations, he'll revert back to the whole, oh yeah, white people we're the rulers of the world because we were brave enough to go over the, no, you're stupid enough. Like, my boy Hogue, Chris Hogue, he posted this one video, and man, it was an amazing video of some daredevil, death-defying stuff. I don't know if you guys seen this video. It's got 8 million views. It's a guy on a BMX bike going on the thinnest path, and one mistake, he's on this giant cliff, riding along like a cliff's edge. No different than how I've lived most of my life. Edge, but he's riding a BMX bike going full speed down this bumpy cliff edge, and it is like amazing video. You're just like, wow. And you know why it's wow? It's because one slight move, one mistake, and this dude is done. The guy on the bike is going off the rail. Or off that cliff, off that rock face. He's going to could die a horrible death. Now, what would motivate this man to do this? Well, while he's riding, you hear, as he's going, you see people, whoa, whoa, clapping him along as he goes along, knowing darn well the reason why they're saying is that I'm glad I'm not him. And if he falls, guess what they're all going to say? Once he falls to his death or falls paralyzed like this, you know what they're all going to say? Man, that was stupid. He was stupid for doing that. Like, that's what's going on here. Like, while I'm awed by the video, at the same time I'm wondering, what value did it bring to society? Why is everyone cheering? Because we're actually waiting for him to get hurt. We want him to get hurt. The reason why we're awed by it is because there's a high chance that this guy could have gotten hurt. That's the reason why we like ridiculousness. That's the reason why we like lockup. That's the reason why we don't protest against, on a mass scale, against blacks getting shot down in the street, whites getting shot down in the street. Whites are getting locked down more than ever. They're even locking up white women now, sending them to prison. They're building prisons for you now too. That's how complicated the system has gotten. It can't even just mainly focus on abusing blacks anymore. Because capitalism has no honor, because capitalism is not patriotic, now they're locking white kids, and they know they're sending them there. Like I said, in this neighborhood, there is nothing for these white kids to do once you reach like 13. There's nothing for them to do. but drugs. It's like they steer them to that. You know what I mean? And I brought this up to my PO. I brought this up to officers before, and you know what they say? Yeah, I know, it's too bad. You know what I mean? Remember, a cop, a probation officer, a judge, or a lawyer not trying to solve a problem. If they solved crime, they would have nothing for them to do. Same thing with apply that same methodology to the government. The government does not want to solve terrorism. The government does not want to solve any major problem that you see happening within society. If they did that, they feel that they would lose their importance and significance to you. That's the reason why you have Republicans talking about, oh, we want smaller government. But when they get in office, they make a big government. You know what I mean? Now, while Democrats don't say that they want a small government, to be Democrat is basically self-defeating, because if Democrats fix the economy, then they know that you wouldn't want to be Democrat anymore. They're taxing your money that you earn after they fix the economy. So if anything, Democrats are trying to make sure that they keep you in the position of being a Democratic voter. Is what? A person who sees that the system is unfair, which is why I tell you that conservative, liberal, same thing. Axiom TV, I am Jason V. Human, produced by Claudette and Leaford Weir, the smartest man on the planet. Find me someone smarter. Rise, because I am only this way currently until the rest of the world wakes up and surpasses me. Because I allow my mind to think outside of the box, the black box that they have designed society. That is the reason why we're always confused. Having mixed children does not mean that you are not racist. It's how you treat those children that determine if you are not racist. How you teach those children to treat other human beings as a whole is how you show that you're not racist. How you speak to those children and what you're teaching them, conditioning them to, because don't forget, the parents are the first teachers to children. And don't forget that what the parents, they were taught by an ignorant set of parents, and those parents were taught by an ignorant set of parents. That is the reason why we live in an ignorant society. That is the reason why preachers cannot be trusted, because they are supported by the state. That is the reason why science cannot be trusted, because they are supported by the state. No institution can be trusted because they are supported by the state. Even these street gangs, who do you think controls them really? The government. Nothing happens within the country that the government does not allow. I repeat, nothing happens within the country, the world's, especially this one, the world's only empire, capable of putting the man on the moon, capable of putting men on Mars, capable of stopping a dirty nuclear bomb, thermonuclear bomb, from entering in a suitcase in the country. Yet somehow tons of heroin and tons of coke seem to get in. Nothing happens within this country that the government and the 1%, the wealthy that you love and beg and worship so much, that they do not allow. The churches are everywhere as a coping mechanism to teach you stupidity. They help confuse you, telling you to wait for some young Santa Claus. Man, I don't know. That's all I can do is just keep coming with math. Nature's math, cerebral math. Not that they teach you. Shalom. Peace be unto you. Man, just blessings, man. Realize the blessings that God's already given you. Jesus was only a man. and Jesus came with the truth, and it's not what the Bible tells you that he says. If anything, Jesus was talking the stuff I'm talking. Peace. Protect each other.